Welcome to Parenting Through the Pouch with Mel and Kim, the podcast where we talk all things parenting, stomas, bowels, and the beautiful, messy, and powerful journeys that come with both.
In today's episode, we're joined by the lovely Hattie, mum to little Axel, who was born at just 23 weeks and 6 days, weighing a tiny £1 4 ounces. Axel's journey has been nothing short of incredible, filled with strength, surgeries, and a whole lot of love.
We're so grateful to have you here, Hattie. Thank you for being willing to share Axel's story with us and our listeners. Hello, Hattie.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Let's start right at the beginning. Can you take us back to the moment Axel was born? What do you remember most about that day?
So it was just before Christmas, and I went to go and do like the last big shop before Christmas, and I sort of was walking around Morrison's, and I got to the crisp aisle, and I was like really uncomfortable. I felt like I needed to go to the toilet. So I went to try to go to the toilet, and I couldn't, and then I was in a lot of pain, and I spoke to my partner on the phone, and he was like, "Look, you should go to hospital." And I was like, "No, it's fine. I'm just, just need to go to the toilet. I just need to come home, lie on the sofa, and chill out for a bit." He was like, "No, let's just go and get it checked out." And so I drove myself to A&E from the supermarket, and he met me there. And within an hour, I was fully in labour and in a lot of pain. And where they take you in and they triage you from A&E.
Yeah.
They were trying to push me back out into the waiting room, and I was like
Oh,
holding on to the doors, like, no, you can't send me back out there. And they were going to give
oh.
me paracetamol. And my partner called the labour ward, and they were like, "Why are you trying to give her paracetamol? She's been told she's at risk of going into premature labour. She's obviously in labour. Let's get her up here." They had a look at me, and yeah, I was in labour. So I spent 24 hours labouring with him, and then he came. But I had a what's called a cervical stitch, which was basically to keep my cervix closed because it was too short, and that failed. So that's why he came early, unfortunately.
Oh,
Yeah, it's crazy.
it is.
Being born so early, it must have been incredibly scary for you all. How did you first find out you were going to deliver prematurely, and what emotions were you going through at that point?
So everything was fine. My first trimester was absolutely fine, and it felt like I was really lucky because I had my friend was pregnant at the same time, and she had that condition where you're constantly being sick. And I honestly wouldn't have known I was pregnant. I was just living my best life. And then the midwife asked me, "Have you ever had any procedures on your cervix?" And I had. Back in 2020, I had precancerous cells removed from my cervix because I had a smear that came back with positive. Um, and so they said they offered me the opportunity to have a cervical stitch, and there's a few different types. I had like the lowest one. You can have them all the way up to like the neck of the womb. But I had the lowest one, and I had that placed at about 18 weeks. And then we found out that he was a boy, and then he came about 3 weeks later.
Wow.
Um, yeah, which is crazy.
Blessing.
So they knew there was a chance, but it was me and my mum were going, we've just got to get to 24 weeks. We've just got to get to 24 weeks, and he came at 23 plus 6.
Wow, I
Um,
can imagine that was so scary.
Yeah, it kind of took the joy out of the pregnancy, really, to be
yeah.
honest.
What did the doctors tell you about Axel's chances when he was born, and how did it feel to see him for the very first time, so small, but already fighting so hard?
So when he was born, they took him straight away and were working on him in the corner of the room. And then a member of staff from the NICU came over to me, and she had this like piece of paper, and it had like 10 figures on it. And she was like telling me that, if he survives, he's got a 50% chance of having a severe disability. And there's a 40% chance he'll just have a moderate disability. And then like a 10% chance that he will not have a disability at all. And I found out afterwards that the chances of surviving birth are 50%. And then of those babies that survive birth and have a NICU journey, again, it's 50% that actually make it to discharge. So his odds were quite slim to start with, just from being born prematurely. But they said, you know, he might have lots of infections and he might have issues with his breathing, or he might have cerebral palsy. That's the main one with babies born this prematurely. But nobody ever mentioned to me anything about his bowels or anything like that. So that was a bit of a shock.
Was
I
it
bet it
straight
was.
away they knew that there was a problem with the bowels?
So he was 5 days old when his bowel perforated, and it perforated because of a condition called necrotizing enterocolitis, which we just shortened to NEC. And it's basically where the bowel is like an inflammation response, and the bowel starts to die off. And it can, when they're that small, the bowel is about 1 millimeter thick, and it's so fragile. And what they do is they give them breast milk through an NG tube, but it can also cause a perforation. So it's supposed to prevent perforation and prevent NEC, but it can also cause it. So it's you can't win, really. And yeah, basically his bowel perforated when he was 5 days old,
I
which
can
was,
imagine it was so stressful. Obviously, you had all this going on with the premature labour and the birth, and then obviously finding out Axel had this condition. It must have been absolutely horrific for you all. Did this lead to, did it, Axel have surgery to have his stoma straight away after the 5 days?
yeah. So it was Christmas Day morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and the nurse came and knocked on the door because we were staying on the ward. And she said, Merry Christmas. Sorry to tell you this, but Axel's not very well and he's had a turn overnight. And what had happened was his bowel had perforated, and any contents that are in the bowel, including air, escape into the abdominal cavity, and it can cause, they pretty much go downhill very quickly. Where he was born, they didn't have a surgical centre, so we had to be blue lighted to the nearest place with one, which was Cardiff, and we were in Devon at the time. So
Oh gosh.
it was crazy. And then we got there at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because they have to put them in this special incubator, and then it's the transport itself. It all takes a long time. And by about 8 p.m. he was going into surgery, came out about midnight, and she said, look, we've had to give him a stoma. And I'd seen stomas on Instagram, or influencers with stomas, and
Yeah.
I thought, I know what that is, but I'd never seen one in real life.
Oh.
And it is quite shocking when you first see it.
It is.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, like you get a little, like a kick in the stomach, don't you? Like a little flip.
Yeah.
I bet because he
It's
was
quite
so
scary.
tiny. Yeah. Bless
It
him.
was
He's
about
been
the
through.
size of a 5p piece. It was tiny.
Oh.
Bless him.
Axel went, obviously Axel's been through multiple surgeries in such a short space of time. How did you find the strength to get through each one? Because obviously you'd just given birth, so you was literally going through everything all at once, wasn't you?
Yeah, it gets easier every time he has surgery. I found, like, the first time, obviously I'd just given birth. I was pumping every 3 hours religiously, trying to get enough milk to make sure that he had enough. Little did I know that I would be like the best milk producer ever, and he would be nil by mouth for like 88 days. So yeah, the first surgery, I actually slept. We got to that hospital and I just slept, and then they knocked on the door and he was out of surgery, and it was the surgeon came to tell us what she'd done. And then the second surgery, I think me and my partner, we got into this sort of habit of watching Taskmaster, or trying to watch something that just has completely requires no effort or any triggers
Yeah.
or anything like that, you know. And so we watched Taskmaster for the second one. And then by the third one, I think we actually went out for breakfast while he was in surgery, which probably sounds quite heartless.
No.
But
No, it doesn't. I did the same.
Yeah.
it gets to the point where you're like, I have absolutely no power over this situation. There is nothing I can do. I am not a surgeon. Why would I sit here pacing when I need distraction and I need food so that I can be there
Yeah,
for him
absolutely. You've got to have your strength ready to help him
That's it.
recover.
Yeah, that's it. So it gets easier every time. You shouldn't have to do it multiple times, but it does get easier.
Is it a colostomy stoma Axel's got, or an ileostomy? Sorry.
He had an ileostomy.
An ileostomy.
Yeah.
After his surgeries, Axel was living with a stoma. How did you first learn to manage that, and what was the process like for you as a new mum?
So when babies are born that prematurely, their skin is really paper thin, and you can't stick stuff to it essentially. So for the first, I'd say 2 months until he really got his skin came through, they just put a bit of gauze with some Vaseline on it over the stoma. Nothing was coming out of it anyway. So, and that was because he had lots of scar tissue and adhesions, and we couldn't get the stoma working. So it was about constantly checking this piece of gauze for any sign of poo, and there not being any there. And then after his third surgery, I think it must have been about 11 days after his third surgery, I'd gone to a wedding, and I came back. I'd gone to a wedding when my son's in NICU. But honestly, by that point, we'd been in NICU for about 75 days.
Wow.
And it was my brother's wedding, and it wasn't too far. So I was like, I'm going to go. His dad's with him. I need a break. And I came back and I did the check, and I thought, there's nothing going to be there, nothing going to be there. And there was poo on the doors. And I was like, there's poo, there's poo. And the mums in the other beds, like it was a room of 4 beds, and they were like, oh my God, there's poo. Everybody was celebrating, and it was so excited.
What was the like in NICU? Was they used to like dealing with children with stomas? How did you find, like, obviously once it's that pooing, with the products and things like that?
Yeah, it was really hard actually, because I found a lot of the NICU nurses didn't have. This is in Cardiff, so it's one of the biggest surgical centres in the country, and it's definitely the biggest in Wales. And this NICU, they get the most varied cases, and they've definitely dealt with stomas before. But I found that the stoma care from the NICU nurses, they didn't really have a clue. And I think it does take a while. When you've got a child with a stoma, it takes a while to find your groove, doesn't it? It's like,
Yes.
find the products that you like or whatever. So it's about working closely with the stoma nurses. And the thing is, when you go to then a smaller hospital, they don't have pediatric stoma nurses. They've only got regular stoma nurses. And you think, oh, but it's just a stoma, but smaller. But it's not.
No.
You know, you can't get stoma underwear for children and things like that. So it was about adapting adult products for children. And I found that quite frustrating, but we were really lucky with the stoma nurses that we got. Like, they were incredible, and I feel like your stoma nurse is for life, not just for Christmas, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So you started sharing your stoma care journey on Instagram, which we'll tag in when we post this, which has helped so many parents. What inspired you to start posting, and what kind of feedback have you received from other families?
So I remember when we were in the NICU, not knowing where to find information about his stoma, about why is it not working, first of all. There was nothing online.
Yeah.
And then other little things happened where, for example, the kind of procedure that he had a clip and drop procedure. So there was a clip holding his large intestine to get closed at the end, and he actually pooped that clip out, like it absorbed, and he passed it out the other end. And like these weird things that are just not available online.
Yeah.
These stories for children that small are online.
Yeah.
And also because a lot of the time children that small, when they have a stoma, it's very temporary. It's closed before they're discharged usually.
Yeah.
in Axel's case, his bowel needed to rest for a lot longer because he'd had so many surgeries. So we ended up going home with the stoma, and he had it for his first year of life. So I just wanted to share our story because I knew we couldn't be alone. And the feedback that I got from it was incredible. It was amazing. I would say like 98% of people were so amazed. First, they'd never seen a baby with a stoma. They thought it was for old people.
Yeah.
I usually get, oh, my nan's got one of those. And people from other countries as well. I just realized how lucky we are because you get contacted from people from other countries and they say, well, we don't have bags here, or we have to pay for bags and we can't afford it, or whatever. So, and a lot of people, there was a few people who were like, why would you put your child online like this?
Yeah.
But I think so was somebody messaged me and they had a disability and they were like, I would have been mortified if my mum and dad had put me online like this. And I thought, well, I'm really sorry that your mum and dad haven't taught you to be proud of your disability.
That's
really
it.
bad.
It's nice because other parents don't, like, people don't realise people are having stomas for all different occasions, all different reasons, and it's not just one. So it's nice that like everybody would, like, I have my page, Kim has her page for Jessica, and you've got the page. It's just nice that everybody's stories are different and it's your own story. So when people are struggling, it's nice that you can go and find somebody who's been on the same journey and you can kind of relate to it and pick tips up along the way and things. It is, I love reading all the groups.
Yeah, and I think we've built bonds between us as mothers or parents with children with stomas, and
Yeah.
I always know there's somebody I can go to for advice about
Yeah.
X, Y, Z, and people can always come to me for advice about stuff as well. So having that peer support, somebody out of hours maybe when your stoma nurse isn't available, or if you don't have a stoma nurse. I know a lot of people in America don't have stoma nurses.
Yeah. These pages are fallbacks, aren't they, for people to access 24/7. It is really great. You've spoken so openly about the PTSD and depression that followed. Thank you for sharing that, because it's something so many parents can relate to, but few people talk about. What helped you through those dark days?
So yeah, I came out of the NICU and I had major PTSD and postnatal depression, to the point where like I couldn't even deal with the fire alarm would go off or whatever when my mother-in-law was cooking dinner, and I couldn't deal with the alarm of the fire alarm. It would just send me into a spiral. So I had a lot of mental health support from that. I've had EMDR therapy, but you know, it's really difficult in a situation where somebody's got a, let's say, inverted commas, normal child. Maybe one of your friends would come over and say, let me hold the baby for a little bit, and you know, let me tidy up for you. But in our situation, I couldn't do that because I'd have to give them stoma training. You know, I couldn't leave my son with anybody until I'd shown them how to change a stoma bag, and that brings its own level of trauma as well. You know, you're out shopping and the bag pops off, or you've got a leak and you have to then try and change a bag in a toilet that's not fit for purpose. Or I mean, I did it in the boot of our car at a carnival once. Changed a bag. So it's really hard because you can't rely on people in the same way that you would in a normal situation.
No, absolutely.
Really difficult.
How did you and your partner support each other through such an emotional, intense time?
My partner's really, really good. He was just very patient with me, and I'm sure that he's had his own experiences, but he's not really somebody who would talk about like, oh, I'm feeling depressed today or I'm feeling anxious today. That's just not in his wheelhouse. We're getting there, but it's not in his wheelhouse.
It's men, isn't it?
It is men, yeah. And he also, you know, just took everything in his stride, and he was always the one who was sort of boots on the ground when I couldn't cope. When I was giving birth, you know, I was like, don't talk to me, I've got a job to do, nobody talk to me. And he was there and they were telling him, you know, your baby's probably not going to make it. And then when Axel's bowel perforated, I was so exhausted because I was pumping so often. He was the one, they said, sorry, but your son might not make this either. And it just So he's always been the rock sort of thing, and I've been the
Yeah.
mental one sort of just going around.
Oh, it's nice that you've got a good, strong partner like that to go through it with.
He never changed a bag though.
Has he not?
Has
Never
he not?
changed a bag. No, he's too scared.
Oh, bless him.
Is it something he'll be looking to do in the future, or is it just a no-go?
Well, Axel's been reversed now, so unless he needs another stoma, which fingers crossed we're done. Yeah, I think that will be his last experience with stomas.
Wow, so we got out of it.
He did. Cheeky, wasn't it?
Through everything you've learned, what do you wish more people would understand about babies being born extremely premature?
Vaccinate your kids. Please vaccinate your kids. Even if your child isn't born prematurely or whatever, any child that's got a vulnerability, and I'm sure you've had this with yours as well, you know, any illness triggers high stoma output, which triggers dehydration, which means we can't get a line in because they're too dehydrated. And then you're in hospital for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks on end. And that's, part and parcel for things like norovirus, or we've just had hand, foot, and mouth and whatever. But like things like measles and other things that you can get vaccines for is so preventable and have such a huge impact on people who are a bit more vulnerable. I just wish that was the thought process when people decide not to vaccinate their kids. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Things like norovirus. If your kid's got a stoma and you know there's norovirus going around the school, you're going to be in hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I even like Jax has the flu vaccinations,
Yeah.
The only things he's not had is the COVID vaccinations, but the flu vaccine, everything, he's immunised with everything. I'm one of them parents and I worry too much, So yes, you're having a needle. Sorry, Jax.
Yeah.
If you could change one thing about the NICU experience or the support for parents of stoma babies, what would it be?
I think that there needs to be loads more training on children with stomas.
100%.
The only stoma nurses that the only nurses that I could trust on the NICU, there was two, and one of them was also a stoma nurse. So she did Monday, Tuesday in the NICU, and then Wednesday as a stoma nurse. And then the other one had a foster child who had a stoma, and everybody else just didn't cut it for me. And I felt quite confident saying, if his bag comes off, you need to call me. I don't care what time of day it is. I will come and sort it because you can't do it. And that was proven in the fact that he had a major leak and it all leaked into his scar. And now he's got this wonderful scar across his stomach. But it's really gnarly, and it's people go, oh my God, what happened to him? And it could just be a nice thin line, but because his bag leaked, because it wasn't applied in the way I like to apply it.
Yeah.
So it definitely more training for all nurses, NICU nurses, stoma nurses, whatever. And I'll do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. And finally, for any parents listening who might be sitting by an incubator right now, living the same fear and uncertainty, what would you want to say to them?
I don't want to say everything will be okay, because you can't guarantee that. But what I will say is my biggest piece of advice is to just take it hour by hour, meal by meal, in small pieces, whatever you can do to just get through, because it will come to an end one day, and it's not forever. So just keep going, keep trucking on.
That's brilliant advice. Hattie, thank you so much for sharing Axel's journey with us today. He sounds like an amazing little boy.
Thank you.
Hattie, is there anything you'd like to ask myself or Kim?
So, are your children's stomas permanent?
Jax is it can be reversed, but we are in talks at the minute. It's just waiting for a referral for Great Ormond Street to have his bowel removed, so it will be permanent, or become permanent, should I say?
Yeah.
And with us, Jessica's was only meant to be for a year, and she's had it for 7 years next month.
Oh God.
So we don't know.
Do
So
you
I
feel a
think
lot of grief around that?
it's up to Jessica, I think. If she can have a reversal in the future, then it'll be her decision, not mine. But again, we won't know if she will or will not be able to.
Good luck to him trying to take Apple away from her, because
Oh,
it won't go lightly, will it?
No, no, she's like, she's got a proper attachment to Apple because that's what she
She like-
names her, Stoma.
Oh.
So she's proper attached. So I think now she's 11, I think all the decisions made for her future will come from her.
Yeah.
Which as a parent, I feel a little like relieved that that pressure's not on me. It is
Yeah.
on her. So, but I'll be by her side no matter what
course.
happens.
Yeah, you do. I'm not surprised that she's attached to it, because you get attached to the
Yeah.
stoma, don't you? And then,
Yeah.
you know, when Axel was reversed and I had to learn this whole new thing, like a baby that poos in a nappy and how frequently they're supposed to poo, I was like mind blown. Everyone was sort of looking at me like I was weird because I didn't know how to change a pooey bum. I didn't have a clue. So yeah, you do get attached to them, don't you?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We know so many families will be listening today, and will find comfort and courage in hearing your words. Axel truly is a little miracle.
Thank you.
If you want to follow Hattie's journey and see her stomach care tips and updates, we'll link her Instagram in the show's notes.
Well, thank you to everyone for listening and joining us on Parenting Through the Pouch. Don't forget to like, follow, and share if today's story touched your heart. Big thank you to Hattie for sharing Axel's journey. It's absolutely incredible, and so are you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm so grateful that you guys are doing this. Like, it's wonderful.
Oh, we might not be perfect, but we'll definitely get there eventually, won't we?
We will.